Hey everyone, it's Taylor from Hoffman Auto here in Lake Placid, New York. Today we're going to talk about some different maintenances that we suggest having done to your vehicle. The biggest thing is that we need to do these services more often due to our climate, cold and hot, hot and cold, due to our terrain, which is up and down hills, puts a lot of stress on our vehicles and our drive lines and other systems in the vehicles. The first thing that we're going to talk about today is transmission flush. We do this on most automatic transmissions except the CVT transmission, and we are aligned with a company called DG. They make their own specific fluids for different systems in the vehicle, and they're far superior fluids to anything else that we've tried. So the biggest thing that you need to know about transmission fluid is there's a lot of detergent in transmission fluid, meaning that there's a lot of cleaners in the transmission fluid. So sometimes the biggest downfall of doing any kind of transmission work is that if there is a problem that maybe the customer or the technician doesn't really know about, as soon as they put the new transmission fluid in, which has cleaner in it, it may clean dirt out of places that have been sitting there for thousands and thousands of miles, and that dirt can start clogging up some parts of the transmission and actually cause more damage than good. So the first thing that we're going to do with this transmission flush is we actually put a cleaner in the transmission called Quick Clean, pretty inventive, and we're going to put this cleaner in the transmission and go out and drive it for about 5 miles and allow that cleaner to get through the transmission and actually try to clean out that dirt that may be in areas that we can't really touch with the flush. So we're going to try to get as much dirt flushed out of this transmission and into the fluids itself, and then when we get back we're actually going to do the transmission flush. Alright, so we are back now. We have put the transmission cleaner additive in this vehicle. We took it for about a 5-mile drive, going through all the gears and as well as reverse, using high pressure and low pressure, so accelerating, decelerating, so on and so forth. And now we've brought the vehicle back in, and we have actually hooked these 2 hoses up to the vehicle from the transmission flush machine. And what this is doing is we have taken one of the transmission cooler lines, so the fluid will go through the cooler and back into the transmission to cool the fluid down, and we've actually bypassed that so that the vehicle's transmission will actually push the fluid through the transmission flush machine. Now, when it does that, this is the greatest part about this machine, is there's actually a diaphragm inside this tank right here, and what it will do is it separates the new fluid and the old fluid. And as the old fluid comes out of the car, it'll actually push the new fluid into the car, so the transmission will never starve for fluid, and the old fluid that comes out will never go back in that transmission. So it's a true flush. It's actually flushing all of the old stuff out and all of the new stuff in. Great system. A lot better than actually draining and refilling the system. So again, we have the hoses hooked up, and we actually have 16 quarts of BG synthetic transmission fluid in this machine right now. I've already poured it in the spout there. So all 16 quarts are actually going to go through this transmission, which is, again, more than the transmission actually takes, so it actually makes sure that you cycle new fluid through the whole system. So we got all the fluids in there, we got the hoses hooked up. The next thing I'm going to do is start the car. And you can actually see that the pressure is building up. And again, this is the car's transmission that's building this pressure through the transmission flush machine. And this fluid right here, you can see, should be red in color, and it is very dark. So right now the machine is just bypassing it, and you can see the transmission fluid that's actually coming out of the car. So we're going to just flip this switch to process the new transmission fluid, and you can see this is the new transmission fluid that's actually going back into the transmission. you can see the difference in color between the stuff that's coming out and the stuff that's coming in. So you can see a huge, huge difference in color just with the transmission fluid. Okay, so we've let the 16 course of transmission fluid run through the transmission, and I'm going to show you here the color of the transmission fluid that's actually going through the transmission, and you can see the difference. I mean, you can see through the transmission fluid, whereas before it was so black you could barely even see through it. So obviously the technician is a lot happier with the fluid that's in this transmission after flushing it, and obviously the car's transmission is going to be a lot happier with the correct fluid in it now.